Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of 1 Million Minds. We have a lot of cool topics to discuss. But before we get started, how are you, Balaji? How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Rajni. Premier League started. My favorite team, Manchester City, is scored three. I think they opened the tournament with 3 goals. Yeah, it's great. Like it.
And how long have you been supporting Manchester? Before Haaland or
Two,
after?
3 years. 3 years, I think, so far. The first year I started with that. I think they lost. They've been probably winning. Yeah, they've been winning the
That's
tournaments.
good. Yeah, I mean, I don't watch it as much as I play a lot of soccer video games, so I know all of the players, but I don't watch the games. But we have a very exciting lineup of topics, and I know you and I have had a chance to play with some of them. So let's get started. I know it just feels like almost something new happening every day. But I really wanted to talk about the Play HD 2.0 because I know we've in a previous episode shown how 11 Lab works, and my family was shocked that it was the labs have recreated my voice, cloned my voice. But now I've not found something similar to that until recently, and it looks like Play HD 1.0. I didn't know about at that point, but the 2.0 has been released. It's trained over 1 million hours of speech, and it's a new model which reads like a well-bred individual, and it's also one of the best text-to-speech model we've seen. So not only does AI watch voices sound like humans, but you can clone your voice by they say by just uploading 6 seconds of your video. And I think the more interesting part I want us to test is can you replicate your emotions? It's going to be happy, sad, angry. But just we always talk about use cases, right? There's a lot of endless use cases, but I think
Right.
hyper personalization content and customer support agents are a couple of the useful applications of this. So I know you've had a chance to play with it for a little bit, Balaji. Any thoughts on it? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I signed up and I had a chance to play with it. I think I couldn't quite discover the emotion piece that you're talking about because I think they changed over to the most recent dashboard and layout. It's in the legacy. So eventually, I think with your help, we figured that out. I'll bring that up here so we can start discussing some of these. All right. So maybe I have to go bigger.
Yeah, I can see it.
So one of the first things I did was, like you said, there are two features that the most recent version advertises, right? The voice clone. So I kind of uploaded a 22-second audio clip of myself talking, and then I tried to change the sentence on it and see how that reads. And here it is. Maybe I should play it here. Hi, Regine. How are you doing? It has been a couple of weeks since we last spoke. How was your vacation? I had a good time in Lake Tahoe. It's kind of. I think it has
It sounds
the
like
definitely.
you.
It sounds like me, but the certain words don't like it. It has different type of ending or beginning, and it
It sounds like a
doesn't.
Caucasian you, but yes, close.
Yeah, and the name, and it kind of butchered your name. So I just to side by side comparison, right? I was comparing the 11 labs with the same thing, right? I threw
Okay.
the same audio file into 11 labs, and I chose my
To clone
clone.
your voice. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the clone here. I put the same sentence here to see whether it does anything different. It's been a couple of weeks since we. Okay, so I think I have to go back here. Hi, Rajni. How are you doing? It's been a couple of weeks since we last spoke. How was your vacation? I had a good time in Lake Tahoe. Yeah, it's still not exactly the same, but yeah, I think I mean, comparison wise, I think one chooses a multilingual model by default, which is 11 Labs. I'm not sure which model these guys, the Play HD choose.
PhD. Okay.
There's some fundamental difference, but both are, I think, equally catching the underlying tone of me. But like you said, a Caucasian me, not necessarily exactly you.
I know. I think it's all in beta, but I think it's just a early. preview of what's to come. So I think eventually it'll get better. Where right now, I think the Caucasian voices are the ones they've trained it on. The more Indian voices they train, and the more the model gets better, I think it'll get closer because you can sense it's you, but you can tell it's not you, right? So it'll be
Exactly.
it's a PF Chang's for Chinese food kind of a thing where it sounds like Chinese food, but it's not Chinese food. So
That's a great analogy. Yes, PF Chang to Chinese. Yes, I agree. So here's the next thing I did. They have another thing called video sync. I tried. I think this is a much more difficult problem. So I kind of threw a video in there and added some text. The first thing I noticed, if you can see the timeline here. Okay, let me make this. So if you see the timeline here in the bottom, the audio comes up shorter than the video. So it's a syncing problem already because when I put some text here, it does not necessarily know the natural pauses in the video where it is or how to sync it up, right? So
got it.
obviously, this video already has audio. Essentially, I didn't change much. I took the audio
Hmm.
component of the video and I converted it to text, basically transcribed it, and I put it in here. So see if it can actually
Got
sync
it.
it up again with a different person. It's a voiceover, right? But typically, you do it in your
Yeah.
own voice, and then you want a professional to do the thing. And I tried to simulate that, but I'm not getting good results because I don't know now how to match up the length of the video to the audio. That's where I think they have to do a little bit more work. I know Synthesia
And
does a
this will
much
be
much better work.
yeah, and this will from I'm just looking at an application for it, right? Because I know my kids are big Mr. Beast fan, and then he's blown up in a Spanish language. I think he's gone up to 70 million in that, or big millions in that. I think what he's doing is he's using professional artists from the local country to do a voiceover. So
Right.
if you kind of step back and say, if we can make this work, it could be your voice. If we do a wave of magic one and get all these features working, then you could use your same voice but speak in Spanish. One video with multiple audio, which syncs automatically, and you'll have that one video could translate now into five different videos with the culturally correct words being used for different languages. Right? Would that be
100%,
the
and
use
I
case?
think that'll be the
Yeah.
use case, right? But it's still a
Got
long
it.
ways to go. I think for a common person to do this, it's easy to
Got
throw
it.
in a video. It's easy to choose an audio to overlay, but now I'm stuck with how am I going to sync this up, right? Because the audio, I tried different speed. As you can see, I played Larry at 0.7x. I even played at 4.5x. You can stretch the audio, but still, now you're walking into places where the audio doesn't sound natural. So there is no way to stretch the video or shrink the video to fit the audio, or the other way. So
Got it.
uh, that's basically it. And then let's go to another example that we have, which is the emotion that you brought up. So first of all, I think not all of these voices have the emotions. That's probably something specific that they're training with respect to. So I was able to find the anything with a new and a premium tag on it had these emotions built in. So kind of chose one, and essentially started with this conversation. I think this is very I think you mentioned this before, like if you're creating an audiobook or trying to create a conversation, you can have one person in a different emotion and the other person in a different emotion. So let's see how that works. So the first part is sad.
What are you saying?
Then Jane here,
I am saying you are an idiot.
right? So essentially was sad and
Sounds like
angry,
my
right?
wife.
Yeah, so it kind of, yeah, you can sense the change in the emotion. Yes. It's interesting. I think now you can create conversations like this. Now you can, it's going to be a lot of work, like you said, but yeah, it's still there. Now you have a means to create these
So
conversations.
right now, just for the audience who haven't played with it, is you can see each line you have to add a emotion to it. If maybe there's an
Right.
easy way to prompt it, but the bottom line is you have to pick. You can pick a voice and add an emotion, but if you kind of extrapolate it, if they make it easy or somehow just using prompt, then you might be able to have like three or four people having a conversation, just you just write it, and this software can create the whole conversation, whether it's for a podcast, for an audiobook, or there's or a training material, whatever it is. There's a tool to do this, and all you have to provide is a text. So that's pretty cool if you can, if and when it gets to work.
And just for the benefit of the audience, this particular interface is, they call it legacy now. So I don't know why. Yeah, I found it's cool feature, but it's now tucked away into legacy. So hopefully they bring it back into the main um, UI that they have. So you have to go to legacy mode to even play with this now.
That is very, very cool. Okay, all right. I know we're well over our allotted time for this topic, but it's so exciting. So anyway, so let's move on to our service automation piece. So we've all talked about how generative AI will help service business automate support. So from a theory, now it's becoming a reality. So America's favorite fast food chains have been early adopters of AI technology. So McDonald's has been experimenting with this since 2019. Other fast food chains are also like Wendy's, Popeyes, Taco Bell, Panera Bread. They're all are playing with it. So imagine play, and they all are experimenting with it. So the something we just showed at Play HD or 11 Lab gives almost every small business a customer support bot with truly human-like voices. So that these, I think, this is where the most value has been added. I think we talked about AI, where you can have there's some new tools being built for this. One of them is, at least from a demo perspective, they show like 10 to 30-minute long phone calls where they remember the entire conversation. So you're really just talking to AI, but you can have a long conversation with it instead of just like a. Right now, if you talk with a chatbot, there's like three different trees that you can go into, and you kind of are stuck with that. But this one is actually more human sounding conversation, a natural conversation. Another one we looked at was slang. AI system manages a phone call, can respond to any queries about your business, and it doesn't resort to slang like we do. But the bottom line is there are different variations of this coming up. How it's supporting, business automate support. So, any thoughts on that, Balaji?
Yeah, one of the first things I thought of was that, okay, so the drive-through experience, like you mentioned, for service industry is probably going to be much. Maybe they can take out the person on the other side taking orders and speed this all up with a bunch of these voice input terminals, right? You can order the stuff, you can have a conversation, and it goes directly into the kitchen, and now you have the order getting ready. Again, this is what we are hoping would happen, but on the API side of things, even with the Play HD, a lot of this is not real time, right? Like you submit something,
Yeah.
you can see the API produce, it's queued, it's converting, it just 10 stages before it is even ready, right? So and all that has to happen so fast for a real conversation to materialize, leave alone the API. Right now we are thinking about how the API text can be converted into human speech and comes back as a human speech. Um, it's still, a lot of these are under development, I believe. Right? I haven't seen, maybe the Air demo they showed was cool, but yeah, I think a lot more interesting things to come. But you're right. I mean, customer support and customer service is getting disrupted with some of these cool technology.
Agree, and you're absolutely right. I think at this point is a little bit slower response because they already were doing this. When I say the order taking didn't have to be even physically present there, right? So you could be
Right.
taking orders in Austin, somebody in India or Vietnam could be actually taking the order and they send it. So that was one level of making it cheaper. But now even removing the humans altogether and making it happen, it makes logical sense. But I don't think we're quite there. Maybe there's but maybe the as you start listening to the same orders, right? But what I mean by that is, give me a number one with Coke, Pepsi, and something else. Once you start taking thousands of these orders, I'm pretty sure the response time and you have your model that is right there instead of having to go to the cloud and coming back. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they are working on those efficiencies so that, to your point, there's not a big delay from me ordering to the AI responding. You know.
Right. I mean, ideally, I would like to order with my phone, right? Like maybe I don't even need that
Yes.
terminal drive-through, and I can identify a drive-through and order, and that's more natural conversation. Phone has more power than whatever it is doing, and it can definitely help with that, right? It has AI chip. So the yeah, I'm eager to see how this. Okay, even with all the tablets and everything, only now we see McDonald's and others have a display. I mean, you walk into McDonald's, you can see you can order with a touch screen, right? And it took so long for some of these to even materialize. So we'll see.
That is true. That is true. I was very surprised because now that's a thing that you see around the world, right? I just went to India. You saw it in India. You saw it in Dubai on the way back, and of course you're seeing it in. I was in Hawaii. I saw it there. The bottom line is they're definitely standardizing, taking the order taking from a person to kiosk, so multiple
Yes.
people can
Yeah.
order at the same time and they just call the number. So I think we're going that way. Again, maybe fast food won't be the perfect use case for a conversational AI. To your point, not like we really asking questions about what is in this ketchup, right? So maybe it doesn't make sense for them, or I wouldn't say it won't be slam dunk for them, but for a customer service call, when somebody's calling you about your product, just have general questions, or instead of just a phone tree, can you have a conversation with somebody saying, "Hey, what time are you open?" Or, "Hey, tell me more about these services," and your employee doesn't have to repeat everything hundreds of times, and a tool like this can take the first
The
initial call based on which.
You hit that
Yeah,
right. I think IVR is kind of expensive thing, right? To customize and keep doing it. A lot of banks use it. A lot of it's a costly affair, right? And I think technology like this can reduce the amount of money that goes into customizing and creating IVR for, especially things. Imagine banks and I mean, where there's a lot of questions and a lot of interactions that needed. Yeah, IVR might definitely benefit from some of this, and it doesn't have to be exactly real time as long as it is able to customize like a human sounding voice and yeah,
correct.
it's going to be very interesting in IVR space. I agree.
Perfect. Now moving on to our next topic. This at this point I think we've researched or reviewed a bunch of these different LLMs because every time something new comes out, you and I love playing with it just to see it, right?
Right.
But now
Mhm.
there's so many commercial open source AI. Benchmark study was developed for testing this, and of course, no surprise, GPT-4 stands out. So I want to talk a little bit about the agent bench testing, and then we're going to look at the results. It's a
Right.
standardized test, and they look at the capabilities of large long language models, looks at the operating system, database, lateral thinking puzzles, internet shopping, web browsing. These are different categories that was tested on, and what you're displaying is two different layers that it was able to kind of classify these different LLMs. And of course, AI GPT-4 achieving the overall score of 4.41, and it was ahead in almost any discipline out of those seven or eight that we're showing. And what was more surprising is the Claude model from Anthropic, which you've seen, and we played around in the last. I've been still playing around with it. Uh, it's not the very high score, but 2.77, but it's ahead of the OpenAI free model, which is 2.24, because GPT-4 is a paid model. So we have access to this amazing technology for free, but it's interesting to see the different, things that and which one works better. So what do you see when you see these results, Balaji?
Yeah, the chart itself is definitely the best way to represent some of these, and you can see the blue is almost like hitting max points on, except for web shopping, right? GPT-4 is excelling in every single thing. It's almost like it's paid for by GPT-4 to create the chart. I'm just joking. But then everything else, you can see the pattern. Every other color, it's good in some, but not great in others. So that's
Mhm.
why there's a huge differential. Seems like GPT-4 is leading the race in almost all aspects of it. Um,
Mhm.
it's very interesting, and I'm more interested in seeing how Claude catches up because I'm impressed by some of the capabilities of Claude. And we'll see. Time will tell.
I agree. I think I've been using it exclusively just because it's a more the new shiny object. I've been using it a lot recently for a lot of business acquisition questions, and especially if it's a mature business. If you're asking for how is AI going to change the world, everybody gives you standard answers. But if you look doing research on mature companies, I feel like personally, I like Claude's answer. It's comparable, or it's sometimes even better. Maybe it's just the style of the answers, whatever it is. I'm really enjoy using it, but I think these will continue to evolve, and multiple winners will come out of it. So I'm excited to see where this all goes.
Awesome.
All right. Next topic. This one is just a quick topic I wanted to touch base on. Is our the Biden administration is inviting hackers to the AI cyber challenge to use AI to safeguard critical U.S. infrastructure. So that's the article I read. It's very cool because they are really the challenge is backed by major AI companies like Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI. The winner gets $20 million prize money. So that alone is exciting, right?
That's
To
a good
be able
amount.
to
Yeah.
talk to $20 million prize money for the cyber challenge. Anything from the government, even remotely touching on this new technology, is interesting to look at just from a trend. So why should we care? The As an infrastructure, we some of the things the US is definitely behind the curve. So if you could use this and what we learned from this to reshape the cybersecurity tools, is an evolving marketplace, and the open solutions keep it fresh because you get a lot of people in it. And once you get the top tier security solutions, you can go into more of a commercial mode. AI is rapidly becoming an essential part of cybersecurity. So that's what it boils down to for me, and I'm excited about where the who wins is, and not only who wins it, right? Just the whole process of participating in it. I think will be helpful for the U.S. Security and infrastructure overall. So I'm just glad the government is getting involved in it instead of waiting for something to break before we do this. So
100%. I think the prize money has to be substantial enough to invite people from the dark side
right,
to participate, so to speak. Right? It has to be big enough because some of the best minds are on the other side of the equation, so they have to participate to get the infrastructure secure. So it's very interesting. And when you said the money is 20 million, yeah, that makes sense, right?
yeah, I mean, otherwise it's not worth it, right? And yes, so with that, we are. I would like to wrap up today. So I know we always have. We have so many more topics we can cover, but we'll definitely touch upon some of them next time. But any closing thoughts, Balaji, before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think in general, I think we covered diverse topics today, anywhere from voice cloning to the cybersecurity. As just for the audience, right? I think we try to bring in as much information as possible in the couple of weeks we run this show. Collect all these tidbits and present it. Like us, follow us, and absolutely, it's going to be a good. Hopefully, it's useful information.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's where we are also inviting the audience members to, tell us if what are the topics you want to cover. But if you have an AI question or a strategy that we can help you with, reach out to us on LinkedIn or on YouTube. We'd love to chat with you. Until next time, see you guys.
Thank you.